Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode number 72. My name is Craig Perales, and that is Mandrew Montemayor, and you guys are watching the best video game podcast, Last Call Gaming.
That's bold.
Is it a bold statement?
I'd say we're mediocre.
I think we're slowly climbing the steps of greatness. I mean, we just cracked 1200.
I hope we get close and then just fall apart.
We flew too close to the sun
on wax wings.
On wax wings, as they say. So before we get into the show, guys, make sure you take a second, check us out on all the other social media. Check us out on our Facebook page, on Instagram at LastCall Productions, our Twitter at LastCall PRODZ. And if you guys are interested in the audio only version of this podcast, you can check it out on iTunes, Spotify, and CastBox. And if you guys are interested in any of the Last Call Gaming merchandise, check that out on TeePublic. The links are in the description. You can check it out, get gear, because we're gearing up to do our end of the year video. Anybody that wants to grab a shirt or something along those lines and send us a picture of it, we are more than happy to put you in the end of the year video. Generally, we take a alcohol or beer selection from the fans. Andrew decided to pick this one, so we went with the Malibu Caribbean rum, done with mixed with Dole pineapple juice. It sits at a 21%, and it's distilled in the West Indies Rum Distillery. And Deandra actually got us these nice little Malibu cups, and this was very refreshing.
Yeah. I just kind of want to do something a little bit different, especially since we did the Jack and Sprite last time that I didn't kind of care for. So just something a little more light.
Yeah, it definitely goes down very smooth. I don't think anyone can ever really say they don't like Malibu rum mixed with any kind of juice. I mean, it's a very hard thing to not like, especially on a hot, crispy day.
I just love Malibu pineapple. I think it's so good.
Do you think that's your favorite liqueur?
Especially when you're in the end game and it's 3 a.m. Yeah, I don't want another vodka Red Bull. I'd rather have something like that to kind of simmer down.
Right, because we actually just got done watching the Game Awards, which was close to almost a 3-hour show, and we something to not get bombed on because we were drinking these during the show, but yeah, they're actually quite refreshing. So let's dive into the actual Game Awards 2020. Like I said,
Tell me more about it.
It was a pretty long show, and I thought it was done pretty well. I think it dragged on a little bit. Last half hour probably could have been condensed and into portions throughout the thing. But I want to get, before we dive into that, the pre-show. Now, the pre-show usually happens on a lot of events, a lot of big events. E3 will have a pre-show or things like that. But what I didn't kind of like was that they were giving away actual Game Awards during the pre-show. So if you were actually waiting to get home from work or whatever, or running an errand and you're like, oh, I got to be home by 4 o'clock, our time or 5 when it started, you'd already missed them because they went through and they did. They started off with the first award, which was the winner of score and music, and they gave away Final Fantasy VII Remake, won that. They did the best family game, which Animal Crossing took for that, and I just thought that was and I think they did 2 more, but those were 2 big awards that I would have liked to have seen in the show and not before the show started.
Well, yeah, because then they did Best Action Adventure 2, which went to The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
So I felt like they were at least the Best Action Adventure and also the Best Score should be something that's a primary category in the show. Those are pretty big categories. That's not just Best Esports Team, Best,
because they did do
best
that,
Commentator and stuff
perfect.
like that. That stuff was fine, but I felt like that was something that deserved to be in the show versus some of the other forgettable ones that I kind of didn't care for.
Yeah, I thought especially the Best Family Game, Best Action, those games, Action Adventure was almost to the end of last year's that we saw, and it was before the show even started. So I know they had to do things a little bit differently due to the COVID. It was an all digital event, so if you watch it streaming. So I don't know how they rearranged and what got, acts pre or post show. But let's dive into the actual show, because when the show started, Keeley comes out, and he looks fresh to death in those blue and white high tops when he was rocking. I was like, damn, Keeley's always on point. Yeah, so
what they announced first?
So the first thing, we're going to start with, because we got to do the Final Fantasy VII. The way Keeley opens it up is that he thinks someone's missing from the show, and the Smash Brothers showed that the new character they're introducing is Sephiroth, and which was badass. He had a badass little intro. What'd you think?
I thought it was really cool, especially where it looks like you stabbed Mario, but it's
that was
through his overalls or whatever.
They totally Nintendo'd it.
Yeah, so I thought he was really cool. It looked like he played really well. That I don't have Smash, but by the time I do, I definitely want to pick him up.
Yeah, by the time you get it, you're going to dive into all the good characters. All the people are going to be on that.
You already got Cloud.
Yeah, and the Cloud was a really cool one. And I guess, because once Sephiroth came on there, I almost forgot Cloud was on there, and so because it dives into that battle, so that was really cool. But then they get into a trailer that Andrew noticed right when what popped up, a logo. They're showing that the Perfect Dark trailer. I don't know if you want to call it a remake or a reboot, but it's coming.
I think they're rebooting it, but yeah, as soon as they were talking about it being the future, so I was like, okay, well maybe it might be Perfect Dark because the initiative, of course, is working on this game and Microsoft owns that. But as soon as it got to the top of the building, it had like the D symbols on there, which is the Datadyne company. So instantly I knew. I was like, okay, cool, this is Perfect Dark. Badass. I like the concept and the idea, kind of where they're going, and I wish we could see some more gameplay, but I thought that was a good teaser trailer. Definitely better than what they did with like the Fable and stuff that I always harp on.
Yeah, because I gotta say, before we get further, we're just gonna highlight some of the things that caught our eye. The show is huge. We can't do a 40-minute show, about 3 hours of material. So if you guys do want to check it out, the link will be in the description. But yeah, it was really cool that Perfect Dark's gonna do it. I know that's been a game everyone's been wanting to get done, at least properly redone or remade or whatever. So high hopes for that. But moving on from Perfect Dark, the next game that caught Andrew and I's eye, and we easily wanted to start playing it, was when they showed, was it Back 4 Blood? That was the correct name, right? The spiritual successor of Left 4 Dead.
I almost thought it was Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, we were looking at it going, oh yeah, is it another one? Because even at the end it shows, the 4. That looks like a really good co-op multiplayer zombie shoot-'em-up game. I mean, that one looked extremely fun.
Yeah, I've only barely played the original Left 4 Deads, so I don't have like too much of like a fond memory experience of them. But I think right now that there's nothing out like that, especially with the success of like streaming and everything like that, that now would be the time for something like that to come back. So I actually thought that looked really good.
And the next game I know that caught your eye, because you knew the company, or you're used to what they do, is the Callisto Protocol. They showed it was coming out in 2022. So I mean, hold back your excitement because it's going to be another year or two before it comes out. So
yeah,
what was your thought on that? Because that was by striking distance.
Yeah, these are from the people who actually make Dead Space. I'm a huge Dead Space fan. As soon as the guy got out of bed, he's got like a little digital meter on the back of his neck that kind of shows his health. I was like, okay, cool. This is from the people who did Dead Space. I instantly knew it right away. Like, that's the call sign for it. And it's a horror game. Like, it looked like it was scary. It's in some weird prison thing, and it's got the whole space element. But then at the end, they did an interview with I forget his name. But he was saying, we want to make a game that's scary. Like, we want to commit to horror. Like, that's what we want to do. Not some big over-the-top action, whatever. Like, we want to make the scariest game that we think we can do possible. So, as long as they're doubling down on that, I'm all for that. So, I thought that was actually really exciting.
I really like that he said that, too. He's like, yeah, we're all in for making the scariest, the best sci-fi game we can. And judging by that trailer, I mean, they're on to something good. So moving on from that, the next big award that was picked up was the best art direction that came from Ghost of Tsushima, and I don't think anyone can argue that. You look at that game, I mean, even in trailers, and
beautiful game.
It's well done and beautifully designed. So kudos to them. And then next went to the best action game, and that was actually Switch and PC, the Hades game. And once that started coming on, I was telling Andrew, I'm like, dude, you gotta start playing this game. And
that game was in a lot of
once I started
awards
explaining
tonight.
Andrew more and more how it did, I mean, it's a lot of fun. And I know it kind of had a big craze a few months ago when it came out, but if you have a Switch or even a PC, don't sleep on that game. It's extremely fun, and it's very addicting in terms of like the repetitiveness, like good repetitiveness. Go in, kill something, die, rinse, repeat, but get better and better the more you play it. So I really want you to dive into that.
Yeah, no, that game definitely looked good. And that game was in a lot of nominations tonight.
Yeah, Hades, and good for them. Supergiant Games, I believe, is the one that does them. So yeah, they got some good recognition tonight. Next, they moved into some trailers of things, because this thing was sprinkled wildly with a lot of world premiere stuff. So again, guys, we're not going to go over everything, but check it out. But one of the things I want to say I was kind of let down by is when they kind of showed off what BioWare was going to do, because BioWare let out this big tweet saying, we got something to show for the Game Awards, and I was pretty pumped, but they let out a kind of a mediocre thing of Dragon Age,
I thought it was pretty weak.
Which I think they just called Dragon Age. There was no like new name to it or number 3 or anything like that. The trailer didn't really do anything, and at the end they did something with Mass Effect, which again was almost a waste of time. It didn't. I mean, half the trailer until you see anything, was there, and then it's just a little bit that kind of hints that Mass Effect is still coming, and Keely's like,
Mass Effect will continue.
And Keely's like, oh yeah, cool. I want to know what they're gonna do. I'm like, that served no purpose. So not all of it was gold. I think a lot of these things were kind of just fluff and filler, which is okay, but not when it's Dragon Age and Mass Effect, two big IP and franchises that people have been looking forward to. This is what they showed.
I think they're following along the lines of kind of what Microsoft said. I think when your game isn't new and you're not taking like a new direction with something, and the last one didn't do so well, I think you need to have a better first presentation with it. That's kind of the thing I keep harping on Microsoft for with Fable, is that last game did not do well. Then they had the canceled one that was all online. So why would anyone be excited for like a little 2-second trailer? You know, if it was the Last of Us, however divided you are, whatever, they could do a small teaser for The Last of Us 3. They did a small teaser for God of War 2. Last time Sony had like a presser. Just that small little teaser was enough because the last game was successful. It was great. It was something that everyone loved, that they don't need to show you off everything. These games need to prove whatever going forward, because the last ones weren't doing so hot.
Yeah, so I don't know what they were going to do with them or trying to do with them, but I mean, if they're already giving us that, I'm hoping that, especially after the thing that BioWare is coming off of, two other big leaders leaving, you know, they've got to do some good damage control in terms of pleasing fans, and you know, let's hopefully they do it well. The next big award they gave away was the best narrative, and no surprise, again, Last of Us 2.
Hands down, I already knew that
took home that one. Yeah, Andrew was writing it. Every time a best award came in The Last of Us, Andrew was just already writing down Last of Us 2, and I'm guessing, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Miles Morales, and nope, it never came. Right after that, though, came the London Philharmonics, and they did a beautiful performance, kind of paying homage to Mario and
Except
the 35th
for they
anniversary.
snubbed Mario Sunshine for some reason.
Oh yeah, because they were hitting all the the key notes and songs from it, and it really glossed over Sunshine. And Andrew was like, "I'm gonna be pissed if they don't circle back," and of course they did not. So that was pretty funny. But great music, as always. I mean, they do wonderful work.
Yeah,
so.
no, that was actually really cool.
And I think the next thing that almost stole the show is when
I think that did steal the show
when
for me.
Vin Diesel shows up into this trailer that's mixed between I don't know, back in the day kind of
Primal?
caveman, primal mixed with future tech. I was looking at it going, I almost thought this was like a Turok.
I thought
game.
for sure it was going to be Turok.
And he's grunting, and it looks, I mean, you know it's Vin Diesel the moment you lay his eyes on, because I was watching it, because I was writing down notes too, and I'm like, oh look, that guy looks like Vin Diesel. And then it's like, oh shit, it is. And this was the Arc 2 game, so clearly they're not putting it to the side. They're going to move forward with it, and it looks like this is going to revolve more heavily around a campaign.
Yeah,
or at least some sort of story to play.
So I think, though, I mean, they're going to do kind of what Titanfall 2 did. Okay, like, here's our online, here's whatever, and you can build and do whatever. That's the bread and butter. But here's this campaign, too, for those of you who are wanting that. So that way you've got something for everybody. And even if you gave me, like, a 6 to 7 hour campaign with whatever that was, I thought that looked great, that I'd be all for that.
I do want to say, though, it was all, I'm assuming, just all, like, the CGI trailer. I don't think any of it was in-game footage. It moved pretty stiff. And, like, even because he starts fighting these, like, kind of orcish shaman-looking things, the combat, even in the video, looked a little, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I was kind of like, it's weird that looks slow.
That's why I figured maybe it was, like, I don't know if it was, like, a CGI thing, or if it was, like, what do they say, like, rendered in-game is what they call it.
I wasn't sure.
It's not a cutscene, but it's rendered within how the game's actually going to look. So that's kind of why I give it that. And I'm sure this game's kind of a ways out anyway. So
yeah, so that looked pretty cool. It was actually it was one of the longer trailers that you got to see during the show. So the next one big award that they had was Best Multiplayer, and that went to Among Us. So that game's been blowing up. Anyone that's been playing it knows that it's fire right now.
Yeah, I'm glad to see something like that, because it's not like they're a huge team. They're not like Call of Duty or Fortnite, these other juggernauts or something. Like, those guys have had their
Well, here's the thing. It really took the steam off of Fall Guys. Like, Fall Guys was almost up for a lot of things, and then, like, Among Us kind of just swooped right in and took that.
Right, that's kind of how I felt. Like, Fall Guys was that big thing that streamers were doing, but then they instantly moved to, like, Among Us. I feel like some people still do play Fall Guys, but I think what would make the big difference between those two games, especially if they're competing for space, is being on more consoles, because Fall Guys is only on PlayStation right now. Among Us is not on consoles, so if that's something, whoever can get to the other one first or whatever, I think that would open up a whole lot more doors.
Yeah, and they also showed the Fall Guys Season 3 Christmas stuff when they did all the winter thing, so if you are interested in more Fall Guys, they do have that. Another one I know you wanted to touch on was they did a brief thing with the Evil Dead game. So Ash makes his appearance, the Knight shows up, and they're blasting their way through it. I was hoping or I guess I'm not hoping. I hope it doesn't go the way of Friday the 13th and be kind of a game with 4-player surviving, and then nobody talks about it in a year.
I don't know if that's what it is. It kind of looked more to me like that Left 4 Dead or that Back 4 Blood. So, I mean, that game kind of took a little bit of the steam out of it, but I think Evil Dead's like a badass property that can definitely do something like that, especially something a lot more like zanier and maybe more like Zombies Ate My Neighbors style than like Back 4 Blood or like Left 4 Dead's trying to be. So I think there's a space for both as long as they don't launch right on top of each other. So I thought that game actually looked pretty cool.
Nice. So then we go into some awards that they gave out. The best indie game of the year has been Hades. So again, this is another Hades win for them. Kudos. Another one that I don't think anybody could have questioned was the best RPG, which Final Fantasy VII Remake took, and gorgeous game. Yeah, you're waiting to play it on Xbox, which would be a few more months, but yeah, there was no denying that was taking best RPG.
I was just glad that Like a Dragon, Yakuza 7 actually
made that list.
So I was like, okay, cool. At least they got up there because I love that game.
Well, before we go into more of the game things, Yakuza had a big announcement on Game Pass. They're dropping it heavy.
Yeah, so they showed off that Skyrim's going to be on Game Pass and they're doing all this other stuff, but then they said Yakuza Remastered 3, 4,
they were dropping
5,
it. Just like,
and 6. So 3 to 6 are going to be on the Game Pass now. I've already done 0, 1, and 2. I just beat 7, so I'm super hyped to get to the rest of this stuff. I'm actually very excited. That, to me, was probably like my most hype announcement during the thing because, as everyone knows, I just started Yakuza this year as my first time being able to play it, and that is one of my all-time favorite series that I just felt like I was missing out on my whole life. So I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, it's crazy out of nowhere, especially like you're saying within this year, Yakuza's being like flooded out the gates, and it's grabbing guys like your attention, and people are recognizing for how good of a series it actually is. I'm surprised why it never got as much attention in the West than it's done in the East.
I feel like really what it is too is it's always been a game. Like, it's a big game. And I think why we're seeing it a lot more and like a lot more up front and getting a lot more limelight is Xbox has actually been putting a lot of the spotlight on it. Mm-hmm. Like a Dragon's not even on PlayStation 5 yet. I don't think that comes out till March. So it is only on the Xbox One or the PS4. You can get it there, and I believe PC as well. But either way, they've been putting all the advertising, everything like that. Anytime there's anything to do with Yakuza, I usually see an Xbox symbol with it. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, even though I know that's was always on PlayStation, I associate, especially after this year, I associate it more with Xbox.
Nice, I like that. So if you're a Yakuza fan, you got that to look forward to.
For free!
For free! So the last of it gets into, the last two big awards were the game direction. That was the one that was presented by Keanu Reeves, and it's always fun to see some nice celebrities on there. But again, this is where The Last of Us just kind of cleaned house. Last of Us took the best game direction, and then right after that, when Christopher Nolan presented the Game of the Year award, The Last of Us 2 took that. So for them, I mean, 2020 was their year. It was, they took home the majority of the awards that they were in. I think maybe they lost maybe one or two that they might have been in for, because they were in almost everything. Some games are only in one or two categories. They were in almost everything.
Well, they really won. I mean, the only one that truly mattered. I mean, you have all these fake Game of the Year editions. They truly have, like, a Game of the Year. And I think, if anything, too, it's kind of well-deserved for them, even though I don't agree with that. Personally, it's not my Game of the Year. But for all the hardship and everything that they went through, like, when the game, all that stuff, like, leaked early, and then people were getting harassed and death threats because of the story. They had, like, the rough launch just because of all the bullshit around the narrative and everything like that, that now they're kind of just reaping the rewards of, like, okay, we didn't get it then. We caught a lot of bullshit for, just people being stupid, but I don't see anybody, like, hating on them for this. Like, again, I can say I disagree, but I can understand why. And I think that's something that everybody could say is like, you know what, that might not be my Game of the Year, but I understand why it won Game of the Year.
Yeah. I mean, no one's ever trying to take anything away from somebody else's accomplishments. There's just other games that I think, I don't want to say snubbed either, but just are left in the dark once Last of Us 2 came out. It's hard to call it snub, yeah. It's they're all nominated, so you can't really snub them, but Last of Us 2 did what it did, and it took away what it took away. And I got to say, though, because guys, there's tons of more stuff. There was, the Pearl Jam singer concert on there. You can go watch.
Stuff.
One of the things that I got to say, Andrew and I both looked at and kind of, were curious on, a lot of the presenters, I know it's digital, and I know that they're all, remote doing a lot of this, but some people like Gal Gadot had a beautiful camera, excellent quality of her mic.
Flawless.
No shakiness, no everything. It looked like perfect. and then a handful, especially a lot of more popular people.
Like, hi, I'm CEO of this company, but here I am on this like 2 megapixel
they're
camera.
They're sitting there, with shaky
with my cell phone
camera,
going off the whole time.
Kind of garbage footage, and some of them had really bad sound, and I was just like, how do you get away with this? I understand there's going to be problems in the show here and there, but I would say 75% of the people presenting it had that issue. There's only a handful of people that looked crystal clean, and I don't know how. I would think. We'll probably never be in that position again where everything has to be remote like that. But that was one thing I'm like, you would assume a lot of those guys had good fucking camera and tech to do a hosting or presenting.
Like, hey, I made this beautiful game that's downloaded and like flawless, but I don't know how to set up a camera that runs at more than like 7
or have a camera that's fucking doing it.
Yeah.
So other than that, though, I mean,
just a nitpick.
Yeah, I think the show was strong. I think it's going to get a lot of not backlash. I think a lot of people are going to pick it apart though, because there was really no oh fuck moment or like
except for Vin Diesel
or big moment of like, oh my god, we just saw that. I think what they can counter on though is we saw a lot of world premieres. It was, almost every video was something new to the table, and I gotta say, if you're a gamer, a lot of the games that are coming out for next year look really promising. So what can you really do in a year where we had to deal with all this?
That, I don't think there's really any advertisements either. Like, I don't remember.
The advertisements were game trailers.
Yeah.
Like, every time he said we'll take a quick break, it was more like world premiere trailers and like things that were coming to Game Pass or things like that.
Right. They didn't have like the Gillette guy or whatever out there and all that like weird shit and stuff like that again. It was all just games. So I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah. So, and leave it in the comments, guys. Let us know what your favorite part was, because again, that's just what Andrew and I kind of collectively took away to show a little highlight on. If there's something in there, there was a couple MMOs that were coming out, a lot of good looking games. So if you saw something you like, leave in the comments, let us know, what you loved, and I'd love to talk with you about it. So
for sure.
Awesome. So let's move into a little ripping it up. So Andrew, I know you got some tall tales to talk about. So what do you got?
So I just have one this week, and mine is Telltale actually just put out a statement saying that they don't really have control over some of the other IPs like Batman and Game of Thrones, and they're not really sure about the future of those. But The Wolf Among Us 2 is coming out next year, and that they are actually trying to move away from the episodic release. So whether that means it comes out all in one go, but you're still playing it in sections, like I think like Quantum Break kind of did that too. You do a section, but there's an interval before the next section. Or like even the Marvel game, that's like chapter 3, chapter 4, whatever. Or if it's actually just going to be one straight fluid story, like no break, just a seamless transition. I wouldn't mind it either way. I would actually kind of even prefer it to be, you do your segment, whatever, that's the end of chapter 1, load me up for chapter 2, or it, just comes up chapter 2, whatever. I would prefer that break because that's already what I'm used to for these games. But I like the idea of just being able to play them all at one time, front to back, versus, okay, we have this one releasing, the next one won't be till next month, but you have The Walking Dead here, but then you have Batman right after that, but Batman's Section 3 won't be until after the other Telltale whatever. Like, it was just all over the place. I think that would work much better for them.
Yeah, I think what kicked them in the ass was, because there's a place in gaming for episodic adventures. I like doing that. You can have your cake and eat it too. You can do these split things, but I think what fucked over Telltale was that they should have been doing it. They weren't creating the whole game up front. They were literally making part by part by part by part. So when they got, when they went under and got bought out in 2018, they couldn't finish games because they weren't finished developing the game, and they lost a lot of these IPs. So it should have been done just the same way you would buy a Telltale. Like
if you buy it now,
buy the full game, even though it's episodic, but it needs to be fully complete. Like what killed them was they were only making chapter 1, and then in 6 months they'd keep making part 2, and after that. So I think that's really what hurt them. So if Telltale's going to move forward and go, well, we're going to make the full game, and if we decide to move it out in a chapter in 3 months and a chapter in 3 months, if the worst were to happen and their studio were to go under, they still have the game. You know what I mean? They don't. It doesn't collapse halfway through production, and that's really what screwed them over the last run around. And that's clearly what they're learning this time around, is that, we're going to finish the whole thing, and then we'll release it how we decide to release it. And I guess that's like learning the hard way of what you got to do. But
it only took a financial bankrupt, but
yeah, because I don't want to lose things like Telltale. Obviously, we like our Walking Deads and things like that, but I don't
have anything else like
that.
I
want Wolf Among Us too. So, because you got, there's Life is Strange, and then there's, what's the...
Tell Me Why?
The Tell Me Why one. So, but I think Telltale stamped that's their kind of stomping ground, and I would love it for them to move forward, but yeah, you can't make that mistake.
Well, yeah,
twice.
because those other games now are called, it's a Telltale-like game. That's how it's referred to.
Yeah, that's their genre, so... anything else you want to add on that?
Now I'm ready for what you got.
So, last week or so, we had PS5 winner, Connor Malone. He wrote in one of the comments and brought to our attention that those of people that were playing, or at least early access to like Cyberpunk, were getting hit with epileptic seizures. And now we dove into it a little bit more, and yes, that is what's happening. And there was a really big, I don't know if she was a game tester per se or just a journalist playing it. She was having issues with it, and she got hit with one big one, and she was on the verge of having a number 2. So she was kind of, not so much, I think, bombing on Cyberpunk, but saying it needs to be announced to more gamers that if you were going to buy this and if you're going to play this, then they need to know that this can definitely happen. Because if you read the EULA, which is the End User License Agreement, there is something in there that states, people that are prone to bright flashing lights are susceptible to this happening. But nobody reads those, and it's not a big stamp on the beginning of the game that says, hey, this can happen to you.
I was going to say, I haven't played it yet. I know Craig's actually had a little bit of time with it today. When you start the game, is it like when I go to, when you go to play any game on the Switch, it says warning for whatever, this game features whatever, you push A to accept, but it does tell you that this game features some lights that you may, there's lots of games out there that do that. Usually at the start of the game, push A, that's you agreeing, but it says may cause seizures from whatever lights.
It may have, but again, who... if you're a gamer that maybe that doesn't happen to you a lot or ever, I blow past that stuff. I mean, I don't remember looking at something like that, and because that's how. If it was big, I didn't notice it, and if it was small, then it was skipped over anyway. So what Cyberpunk and the guys over at the studio have came out with, and again, I don't know why Twitter is where people are doing these like press releases of it. Yeah. Came out on Twitter and said, "Thank you for bringing this up. We're working on adding a separate warning in the game, aside from the one that exists in the EULA, regarding a more permanent solution."
Oh, right there. That means they didn't have one in the game.
No, they have one, but it's more. They're saying they're doing a bigger one than the one that's all. Because that's by law has to be in there somewhere, but it's in that thing that no one reads.
No, so, I meant they didn't have like that separate one that's specifically.
So now they're making it bigger, and so even if they did, I never saw it. And it says regarding a more permanent solution, dev team is currently exploring that and will be implementing it as soon as possible. So she went out of her way to make sure that. As a voice on social media, she wants this to be blasted on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, because people that are playing it need to know. Because when I started playing it, again, I've been playing it for a few hours, I'm almost positive the part that it's happened to at least the most people of is, do you remember in the trailer, or at least that demo gameplay, when you go into like a DB and you can rewind things and fast forward and look at things? Before you go into that, there's you sit under this thing and these lights start blinking at you, fast, and it blinks into a white screen and it flashes. Like, I had to close my eyes for a minute. I'm like, well, if there's anything that's causing it, it's probably that scene, which is actually, pretty early in the game. I would say within 30 to 45 minutes. So, good on her for bringing that to people's attention, because, that's the last thing you want is playing a game you've been looking forward to for years and you go through an epileptic seizure. So
I have a cousin who's actually prone to stuff like that, so I would prefer that word like that gets out versus someone just unwittingly, because no one's going to read the EULA, especially if you have something that's a primary, that's a dead set part of your game. There's no way around it to do that thing.
Right, exactly.
There should be something clearly the push A to accept
or turn it off.
I don't understand why they couldn't think of let's think of something that's not going to fuck people up.
So I do want to give the shout out. This is to the Game Informer editor, Leanna Rupert. She's the one that made the comment a splash, and that's why it's getting traction around the interwebs, as they say. So good for her, and thank you, Connor, for bringing it up to our attention last week. Because as soon as he said it, I was like, oh shit, I'm going to play Cyberpunk. I'm waiting to play it. I hope nobody, because I have friends that good gamer friends. Nikki, he has he suffers from things like that, and. It's a sad. I don't know if anyone's ever seen something like that happen. They're not fun to watch, and I couldn't imagine being alone playing a game like that, and you going through one of those.
That'd be a good time.
That would be terrible. So, that is the end of my riff. So, Andrew, what are you playing?
I actually just finished Game of the Year Haven.
Oh, GLTY. Because he's
Craig's
gotta.
game of the year.
Oh, no, God.
So, no, I just finished Haven. I thought it was all right. There's a lot of problems with it. There's a lot of things that I do like about it. I don't want to get too into it, especially because me and him, we're just going to argue back and forth about it. I think we come to the same agreement on like the score. It's kind of like a 5-ish. I would definitely say if you have the time and you have the morale to play it, like I'm happy that I did, especially because I actually went through 100% in it. But some people weren't so fortunate.
No,
and got screwed.
The game's all right for what it is, but Andrew and I usually like playing and beating games that are excellent and keep you involved. And the only thing I'll say is that there's something there. The game is innovative in what they did with the whole team, system, and how it kind of focused more on the story versus, combat elements. It's very much a search and explore game, but a lot of it was just missed in terms of what it didn't tell you on how to play the game. And I know a lot of people don't want to have like hold your hand tutorials.
There's a difference between hold your hand
some
and
concept that tells me the experiment of the game, and that's kind of where it fell for me. I was like, as soon as I got it done, I was just like, I'm not going back and playing it. But again, I never would have played it if it wasn't free on the Game Pass.
I was literally playing it. I was like, dude, this game explains some of the shit worse than I've seen in like Dark Souls, and Dark Souls is like meant to be obtuse.
Yeah. So, what else you playing? Anything else? Everybody gonna dive into?
No, about to start Cyberpunk, so I'll either start that tonight or tomorrow, depending on what time.
Go home, get a good night's sleep. So
that's probably what I will do.
Over this week.
Hold on.
Oh, I asked if you're playing something.
No, what are you playing?
Oh, you sweet son of a bitch. I just, over this last week, beat Iconfell, which I was talking about last week, and I beat Miles Morales. I wanted to try my hardest to wait till the PS5 and we got one, but I had to play it, and it's fantastic. It's so, I don't want to say short, because it is, it's a smaller game, but it's worth playing twice. Like, I would go back when we get the PS5 and, like, play on that, just because it was a lot of fun. But the games I'm playing right now is Cyberpunk, and I wanted to say that it's also a tad buggy, and obviously it was expected to be. The game's been pushed back 3-4 times.
Did your dick fall out of the pants?
I did not have that issue, but I did have the issue where I had to replay a mission because I had to leave out of this place, talk to this girl, and then after I was done talking to the girl, go back and talk to the partner. Well, the partner, I didn't realize, is supposed to follow you out, and then you talk to her, and then you talk to him. Well, he never left the room. So when I went back to talk to him, there's a guard there, and you can't go in, and he won't come out. So I was like, okay. So I had to replay the mission. Well, not replay. I auto-saved it, and did it, and it happened again. I was like, get fucked. Like, if this is what's gonna happen. Did it a third time, and it worked. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was driving a car, got hit, my car went flying. And I was just like, Jesus, like, is this the sensitivity? So I was listening to a few other podcasts, and even some of those guys are like, if you can't hold yourself back from playing it, then play it. But give it maybe even a month, and this game will be running a lot smoother the way it's intended to be. But those aren't deal breakers for me. You know what I mean? I'll replay half a mission if that's all it's going to be, because after that, so far, so good. Other than that, I was playing Monster Sanctuary, but I'll probably talk about that more on next episode since we're going a little long on this one. So, shall we move into video game questions of the week?
Sure, pull them up.
All right. So, first one comes from John Tavitz, and he says, adult Apple Jacks with whiskey. That was from last week. Whoa. Got me thinking of cereals. What did you guys eat as kids, and what was your favorites? I was always a big fan of Rice Krispies and Cheerios, never a big chocolate cereal guy. Thanks, #LastCallGaming.
I liked lots of fruity cereals as like a kid. Actually, my favorite thing as a kid would be either like Rice Krispies or Corn Flakes, because both are kind of like bland, with cut up bananas and then like a little spoonful of sugar. Like, that's like my all-time favorite. Even now, like, I don't put the sugar in it, but I'll still have like Corn Flakes or Rice Krispies with bananas. Like, I love bland cereals like those, or like Rice Chex. I've always loved Rice Chex.
You like adding the flavor into yourself?
Just the bananas, like, the most. Like, adding sugar was just like a kid thing. But even now, like, I like Fruity Pebbles, but it's not like my favorite. But I don't go out of my way to eat, like, every now and then I'll crave like peanut butter crunch or like Cocoa Pebbles or something like that. But my go-to is usually like Rice Chex or like just regular Corn Flakes.
I love Rice Chex.
I'm not even a big fan of like Frosted Flakes.
I love Rice Chex. But that means, but if you were a kid, that means your mom's slicing up bananas. So how was the thickness?
It wasn't my mom. It was my grandma.
Oh, chopping up your nanas?
Yeah.
Your nana was chopping up your nanas?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
As far as cereals, no.
My cereals, because I love Rice Chex, but I was a big fan of Frosted Mini Wheats. But it was one of those ones where, like, I couldn't eat it right away, because obviously, if anyone remembers, it was kind of like that hard, thicker cereal. But, like, just enough milk on that when they got, like, not soggy, but they weren't still hard yet. They were, and usually sometimes you get, like, the big one where you could cut in half and you'd get two. So that was the way I was. And then I was a big fan of Fruity Pebbles for some reason. I always love eating some Fruity Pebbles.
Was a different food as a kid. You know what Bagel Bites are, I'm sure.
Oh, right? Bitch, come at me.
Have you ever had a stuffed Bagel Bite?
They're stuffed?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Is this homemade or actually you can buy them at the store?
You can't buy them anymore.
Oh, so they took them off the shelf.
Someone had posted something the other day about they're bringing back 3D Doritos, which I think the nacho cheese 3D Dorito is hands down the best flavored chip of all time. Dorito. It's crazy good. But Bagel Bites used to come stuffed, so it's like a little, it's flat with the crust on the top, and then when it's cooked all the way, there's like a little hole. You'll see the cheese pop out. That's how you know it's like cooked or whatever. That's all my mom used to buy as far as Bagel Bites go. So there was one day, like a few years ago, I was like, I'm kind of craving one of those. Those sound really good. Then I went there and I only seen the flat Bagel Bites. And I was like, what the fuck is that bullshit? That's stupid. I don't even know what the fuck that is. I thought they only came stuffed, and someone had to correct me. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I've never heard of a stuffed one. They only come flat. And I was
you
like,
find out they discontinued them like 10 years ago?
Dude, I was online for 30 minutes just looking for a picture of a stuffed Bagel Bite to send to somebody that I was like, my brother's the only person who knows what I'm talking about because we used to eat them all the fucking time.
That's funny.
And I prefer to think that's the better way. I've never had a regular Bagel Bite, and I refuse to start now.
So leave us down below, guys, your favorite cereals and your favorite breakfast snack.
Your favorite Bagel Bite, let me know.
So the next question comes from Samantha Gelsing, and she writes, if Animal Crossing wins Game of the Year, which unfortunately it did not, I wouldn't be surprised from how this year has gone so far. Shady 2020's new level is Catch That Thief, because she's talking about last week how we were talking about people were jacking people's PS5s. Damn, those scalpers are going hard. If I buy something I know is like a hot item, I always get it gift wrapped. For me, I feel like it has less chance of being stolen if they don't know what it is. That's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, question, I never thought of that.
What is your New Year's resolution for gaming? Hashtag LastCallGaming. I simply want to play more Nintendo Switch games. I feel like I own it, and I beat a couple games here and there, but I don't play it enough. And the other one, even though as much as we preach about it and do, and the last, Haven and Monster Sanctuary are currently on, I do want to experiment with just more Game Pass games, and not just playing them for an hour, but like finishing a few more Game Pass games that I wouldn't have normally have finished. So what do you got for your New Year's resolution of gaming?
Well, first, you're actually thinking I'm a fucking idiot, because it just now occurred to me that that's what gift wrap meant. I always thought that it just meant they sent you a receipt that says gift on it, like how you give someone a receipt so you don't see the price. I didn't realize places would actually fucking wrap.
No, yeah, it'll come pre-wrapped, so that way, no one can look in it and shit.
I had no clue that's what the fuck
that way meant. If you send it to people, they'll open it and they won't know what it is for like birthdays and shit like that.
I thought it just meant that they just blank out your receipt and you just get a receipt that says gift or whatever the fuck, so you don't see the price.
Silly bitch.
It never even occurred to me that they wrap that shit for you. But
I'm sure you got to pay extra. It's like $5, $10.
My gaming resolution, I actually want to work more on streaming. My cousin,
that's happening.
Actually follow him. Steezy, SteezyCeezy 1, streaming more on Twitch. He actually just started streaming the other day too, so I gave him a follow. I actually want to start doing that and just kind of commit a lot more, and who knows, maybe even play with some of you guys or even be able to talk to you guys while doing it. So that's something I want to commit to, or at least give it a go.
Nice. So guys, as always, we like to do a little contest around here. So this is a quick bit that will show you how to enter and what we're giving away and the time frame. So check this video out right now. Welcome, guys, to the official Last Call Gaming 3-pack giveaway. This is going to be the contest where we give the winner a choice of their games on the Xbox One, the new Series X and S, the PS4, the PS5, or the Switch. So if you win this contest, you can mix and match it between any of those systems. Now, as of right now, any and all countries are available for this contest. So regardless of where you live, we will find a way to either get the games to you, whether you want them physically or digitally. Now, the contest is running, it already has started, and it started on November 26th. It's gonna run all the way to January 7th, 2021, and the winner will be announced on January 8th. Now, episode-wise, watch our Last Call Gaming episodes. It started on episode 70, and it's going to run all the way to episode 75, and the winner will be announced on episode 76. So that will be early in January 2021. Once the winner is announced, guys, we will give you all the way till the end of January to pick out which 3 games you want, what systems you want them on, and how you would like to play them, again, whether that be physically or digitally. So guys, best of luck to you. Make sure you check out all the episodes. Make sure you guys enter, because the comment that you need to enter is Last Call Gaming. Make sure you put that in all the episodes from 70 to 75. That is going to be how we pick the winners. All right, guys, that was the contest. That's how you win. That's what you can get. So make sure you guys are commenting and tell all your friends and family members about it. But that brings us to the end of episode 72, the Game Awards show. Again, guys, go check it out. Lots to look at, lots to review. Other than that, though, Andrew, anything else you want to shout out to the kids?
Hey, we hit 1,200 subscribers, so thank you. I appreciate that.
Once we hit that 1,000, it seems to slowly keep growing. So
make sure you
guys keep leaving the comments, because I love writing back to people and seeing what they're saying.
And help us get out there. We appreciate every single one of you. That's what helps us do more giveaways and everything that we can do.
Definitely. So, guys, until next time, my name is Craig Perales, and that is Mandrew Montemayor. Cheers.
So how long, if you're being honest, did you spend customizing your junk on Cyberpunk?
Dude, I was in and out of that thing.
You think so?
Yeah.
You didn't even give it a chance?
Well, obviously I gave myself a healthy proportion, and
Are you jealous of your game self?
And I chose, I think any man, that looks at a digital rendering of himself. No, I did what I think was necessary, but I don't think it needs all this weird. It's a first-person game, so I don't get why you have and it's not multiplayer. So I don't get why all these, there's a ton of these customizations. I'm like, this doesn't matter. Like, none of this matters. And when do you get to get naked in this game? I mean, hopefully there's a good scene coming. But if it's not in the game, then what? I don't get why everyone's, fussing over this.
I feel like that's the most overhyped part.
It is.
Because I've seen all these people that are like...
And mine's the most overhyped part.
Yeah, well, 45 minutes later, I'm finally done messing with my person's junk. I can go now, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, am I really going to get in this game and add, a mole, or a girth, length? Am I going to be a girl, do it?
Well, and that's the thing. It's not that really many options. It's literally, it's size, and then it's whether you're cut or you're not cut, or a girl, or, have a vagina. And then it's your color. I mean, that's really all it is.
People made it sound like they're you could do the circumference or what's that episode of South?
Again, though, unless I skipped more options where you could start doing more shit, all it was size, look, and then color, and that was pretty much it. I mean, unless people went into detail, because I don't remember it zooming in and you can start actually fucking with it. I was just I was in and I was out.
It's like that South Park where Randy's teaching people dick size. It's the thing from the balls, and you measure by the yaw.
Yeah, yaw.
What was your yaw?
Oh, I don't know. I think it started somewhere around here.